With the release of the entertaining, but let's face it, slightly unneeded Toy Story 4, I figured I'd check out one of my biggest requests recently with the Toy Story 3 game. Now, in many ways, this seems like it would be your stock standard movie-based 3D platformer, and from the outside it looks like it is just that because it has a lot of the same trappings, like there's typical 3D platforming, and there's collectibles, and there's simple puzzles, but where this very much could have been a lazy tie-in, it's actually quite a special little game, and there's a lot more to Toy Story 3 than meets the eye. Opening with a high-production Western train sequence, just like the movie, you play as Woody riding Bullseye and Uncharteding your way across a moving train in some scripted sequences. You're introduced to pretty typical 3D platforming stuff like a double jump, a charge attack, and ledge grabbing, and it all controls about as smoothly as you'd expect. The triggers offer third-person shooter-esque over-the-shoulder action, which also controls nicely with a very generous aim assist. What I like about this introduction is that it's very tightly designed. The heavy scripting sets the stage nicely for a game that feels like it's put together very deliberately. The level also touches on a joyful sort of kid in his toy box feeling with a lot of physics objects that you can pick up and throw around, and the toys sort of bounce around and everything's really bouncy, and Ham is playing dress up. While researching the development of this game, I saw a developer make the point that in the original film, Pixar really stressed that they wanted to make the toys move and act like real toys, and I think this is translated flawlessly in the game. It just generally captures that childish, playful vibe really nicely, and it's extended way further into the second level, which sees you platforming around Andy's room and garage, which are both modeled beautifully, particularly the bedroom, which is just like, look at it. It's gorgeous, and it feels like it's been modeled in an inch-by-inch sort of way. Like there's no copy-paste assets going on here, it's just fantastic, and the overall presentation of the game backs up these visuals really nicely. It's helped by the movie soundtrack constantly flowing in the background, including the menus which greet you with "You've got a friend in me." There's a good amount of voicing with a mix of the film's cast and replacement voice actors, which also helps sell it as Toy Story. Tom Hanks' brother Jim reprises his role as knockoff Woody, which is always slightly amusing. The dialogue lines maybe aren't as clever as they could be, but they're still very jovial.
The Buzz Lightyear game!
We haven't played this in years.
Yeah, I made it to the Gamma Quadrant. I'm almost to Zurg's fortress.
Guys, come on. We need to get back.
This Andy's house level also introduces a cooperative angle to the game as you switch between Woody, Jesse, and Buzz Lost Viking style to help each other past obstacles, as each character has slightly different moves. Woody can swing from certain things, Jesse can land on certain things, and Buzz can throw characters further than anyone else. All the Toy Story movies have such a theme of teamwork, and it's translated really well through this. There's also the other cooperative angle to the game in that the game is literally playable in two-player split-screen co-op. You can do every single thing in this game with a friend, regardless of if the level normally features multiple characters or not, which is just brilliant. So you might be wondering how the game can transition from the Wild West to Andy's room and beyond that. Well, between each level, you're dropped back to the menu, which is represented through a game board on the floor of Bonnie's room, and each level is kind of either Ham retelling things that happened in the movie, or it's Bonnie playing with the toys, or it's both. And honestly, it's quite vague what's actually going on here. I'm not completely sure, and while I wish they framed it a little nicer, like it's a bit weird that a lot of levels just start without any context, I think that the vagueness is mostly intentional because it allows each level to be as freely designed and imaginative as possible. Because this is a story mode that feels like the designers were having a ton of fun making it, partly because each level feels wildly different to the last in more ways than one. Like, the third level after Andy's house has you playing through the Buzz Lightyear video game from Toy Story 2, which is so cool because that's a childhood curiosity come true. It also shows how far real-time 3D graphics had come between that movie in 1999 and this game in 2010. Like, this is comparable to the movie in some ways, which is just weird to think about. And again, it's nothing like either of the two levels before it, as you're lasering down Zurg's droids and flying through ravines with completely different visual assets. Pixar provided the devs with 3D models and assets, so it's not surprising that it captures the look so well. And this variety continues through the game in both the visual department and with the way each level plays. The incinerator level has the characters side-scrolling on different platforms and opening up new paths for one another while under a time limit. Another level is set at night in the daycare and is based on the act in the movie where Buzz gets reset, and it's a mix of stealth and platforming. Another level in the daycare has you racing around as Bullseye and in a toy car where it's more minigame based. The final level just becomes a full-blown wave-based third-person shooter where you're fighting against cursed muffins in a fully destructible ghost town. It's really quite exciting seeing where the game is gonna go next. All of this genre switching is catered for by this simple control system. Sometimes it feels like an Uncharted style style ledge platformer, sometimes it feels like an old school collectathon, sometimes it's top down or side scrolling, and I guess sometimes it's a third person shooter. And it pulls this all off with an elegant and uncomplicated control scheme, which might not sound like much, but there's something to be said about how hard it is from a game design perspective to switch genres and playstyles in the one game. Toy Story 3 pulls it off effortlessly. One of my favorite levels is this one, set in Bonnie's room, which has Dolly dressed up as a witch trying to drown you and the room in coffee, so you gotta quickly climb to the ceiling, and when you're near the top, the walls break open and reveal this gorgeous outer space section, and suddenly you're 3D Sonic style skating around and collecting batteries. It's just full of imagination, and it's so dreamlike. It kind of has that Psychonauts vibe to it. The developers hammered home that they really wanted to instill a feeling of imagination in the game, and I think that this level in particular really captures this with its magic and whimsy. It's very, very charming. But not all as well, you know, it's not perfect, as the game definitely does show a lot of cracks. Things like the tutorial messages lingering for way too long when you can't move or skip them, or the checkpoints being wildly uneven with some punishing gaps between them sometimes, and some cheap deaths, and platforming which can sometimes feel quite unreliable, particularly when jumping to a ledge. It all adds up to bring the game down a notch, but what's the worst about this story mode is that it can really drag sometimes. Though it does feel deliberately put together in a lot of ways, and each level does feel very different. Within each level, there can be segments that go on for far too long, which is a real shame. It's particularly weird because some other levels are super quick and feel like they should have been lengthened and fleshed out more. It's just a very uneven experience overall, for better or for worse. But altogether, with it coming in at about 4 hours long, it's really a refreshing and fun, easily consumable campaign that's very whimsical. I rate it, I like it, I dig it, but there's another mode in this game that it's probably more remembered by. The small amount of buzz surrounding the Toy Story 3 game on release was mostly regarding the Toy Box mode, which is a pretty ambitious mode that's essentially a sort of open world, customizable, less scripted affair. It's been credited as the precursor to Disney Infinity because this game is by the same developer. If you're a fan of the channel, you'll know Avalanche Software as the team behind the Cars 2 and 3 games that came out after this and run on the same engine, but they're probably most well known for the 3 Toys to Life Disney Infinity games. I won't pretend that I've played them, but from what I've seen, this Toy Box mode is absolutely in the same spirit, just without any of the actually having to buy figures. So the idea in Toy Box is that you develop a town by doing quick, simple missions which earn you money, and you spend that money to buy toys. Toys can range from townsfolk to vehicles to buildings to entirely new areas on the map, and there's a big emphasis on customization. You can choose from the preset locations to place the buildings, you can mix and match different parts of each building to stylize them, you can change how your car looks, you can even change how each individual townsfolk looks, right down to their shirt and haircuts by just taking them to the tailors or hairdressers. You unlock more customization options by just picking them up as collectibles, and interestingly, a lot of the customization stuff is based on other Pixar IPs like Nemo, The Incredibles, and WALL-E, which just ties back into that Disney Infinity thing. I think that the Toy Box mode works really well for a few different reasons. Firstly, it's great on making it feel like you're progressing as the town gets more populated and as you build more buildings. It's not hard to get addicted to because it's really satisfying watching it quickly grow from a ghost town to a bustling toy-filled haven, especially when it's so customizable. I really got the feeling that I built all of this, like that it's my town, which is impressive. It helps that almost every toy you buy has a quick little advertisement and you save up for each one, which, along with the playful physics stuff, all adds to that feeling that you're just kind of a kid playing with their toys. Like, you can throw toys off cliffs or throw bombs into the middle of your town and watch all the toys go flying because it's a toy box, why not? Secondly, it feels like it's ever expanding and filled with secrets because for the most part it actually is. Just like the story missions, the map has a very deliberate and tight feeling design to it, and you can just feel the effort and love that went into making it. It's exciting seeing all these locked gates that you know you're going to open up later on, and when you do finally unlock them, they really do deliver. Like, one area unlocks this entire stunt track for you to drive your car around in, and where it could have just been something on the side for you to do, which, you know, it kind of is exactly that. They put the effort into making 2 different areas for you to drive in with multiple events for you to complete, and they added controls for flipping your car around in the air in different directions. Like, it's not perfect, like, it's honestly quite clunky, but as a fun discoverable thing on the side, it's a really nice addition. Oh, and add stunt racing to the list of genres this game touches on. Finally, I think the missions are mostly inventive enough, even when some are a little too fetch questy, but they make up for it by being brief. So even when they are overly simple, they're easy and rewarding enough so it's not much of a problem. There are some missions that are just super boring, like the ones where you need to take photos of things, but you can play all the good content while simply ignoring and never doing that content. But there are a handful of missions that are much larger in scope, which make all of this worth it. Like, there's an entire mission set inside a haunted mansion where you're possessing things with ghosts and you build a Frankenstein toy. It's not really that far off a story mission quality-wise, which is really cool. Another mission has you riding a dragon through a magical tree, killing these strawberry pixie things, which is very surreal. The finale sees Ham, the town's mayor, reveal his ulterior motive to pilot an evil ham spaceship to steal all the town's money, which is so silly and so much fun. But that finale comes way too quickly. I'm normally one of those people who really likes a short game. I mean, I like to be able to comfortably finish games in a weekend, so the short and sweet story mode was perfect for me, but the toy box mode really got its hooks in me, and it really set up a solid base for something lengthy. But I bought all the toys and did all the good missions in just a few hours. I was fully prepared to keep doing errands and keep buying toys, but it felt like it just dried out in an instant right as it was getting started, which made the entire mode feel like a tease. It's really good, but it's just a taste of what it could be. The only thing it really did was make me want to try Disney Infinity now, which, you know, much like Ham in the toy box, was probably the Disney overlord's evil plan this whole time. So all in all, what's the go with the Toy Story 3 game? Well, clearly it's pretty solid. Keep in mind this entire thing, including the toy box, can be played in co-op, and then consider how much a kid would love this game when a stranger on the internet in his 20s liked it so much. It's not flawless, and it's quite an unbalanced experience in a lot of ways, which holds it back from being a truly fantastic game, but otherwise I'm surprised by how impressed I was with this. The fact that it released in 2010, a time where 3D platformers were really on the outer, and the fact that it's a children's licensed movie game really paints a picture of how this was so overlooked, at least by me. If you think you'll be into it, I say check it out, though stick to either the 360 or PS3 versions for the best experience. I played it on 360, but apparently you can play as Zurg on PS3, so that might be the way to go. Afterwards, Avalanche wanted to follow up Toy Story 3 with a game that saw the Toy Story cast travel through space. Internally, the project was named Star Command. It didn't exit early stages, but they wanted to have the toys travel through different worlds, like a world that was populated by actual 80s action figures like He-Man, which just sounds like a lot of fun. It didn't see the light of day, but I thought I'd give it a mention because it's interesting, and there's a solid write-up about it by a guy named Aaron Gast on Kotaku. It's worth checking out, a link is in the description. Another thing that's also interesting is, did you know Buzz Lightyear once had his identity stolen online? This wouldn't have happened had he used today's sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN is an award-winning VPN service with thousands of different servers in 60 different countries that you can use for a heap of different reasons, such as protecting your online activity from your ISPs, accessing content that may be blocked in your country, accessing streaming content like TV shows that are only available in other countries, or in my case, researching Pixar Cars lore in private. It's super easy to use and it supports most platforms, including Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. So go to nordvpn.org/minimme or use the coupon code minimme while checking out to get 75% off a 3-year plan, which includes a whole month for free. It's a good deal. So with a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support, there's no risk in trying it out. So again, go to nordvpn.org/minimme or use code minimme for 75% off a 3-year plan. A link is in the description. And with that, we conclude our look at Toy Story 3. Leave a comment if you want to see a review of the Disney Infinity games. If you think that they suit the channel, or if you think I'm the guy to review them, then leave a comment, tell me if you're interested, because I'm kind of interested in playing them. And if you want to see other Toy Story games maybe, because I vaguely remember like an old PS1 Toy Story 2 side-scroller, I think it was. It's a vague memory. It had like that kind of like Donkey Kong country style pre-rendered kind of graphics. I don't know if that really existed or if it's just like a fever dream of mine. But yeah, if you want me to review anything really, leave a comment and I'll consider it. I want to thank all my patrons, including but not limited to the ones that are appearing on the screen right now, and especially I want to thank Adam Beals, Caden the Dingo, Dad, Devin Grandal, Dominic Chakotki, Dump Truck Parked in My Driveway, Evil Chicken, Homer821, Labcat, Lucas Ray Sevic, Magnus Ikamo Stavik, Mattias Beas, Maximilian Kunzman, May Aris Mazaki, Melanie G, Minime offers adult services for obscure J2ME games, Mrs. Minime, Peaceful Kumquat, Renegade, Review Disney Planes, Tommy Carver Chaplin, Trixie Emerson, Under 10 Hours, Writing on Games, and Zindictive. I appreciate you all. I appreciate everyone watching right now. Like and subscribe if you want to support the channel, all that stuff. Yeah, take it easy. Have a good one. Let me know if you want me to review anything. Bye.